Kyle O'Reilly is all elite. We have all the details on his debut, which was a part of a great AEW Holiday Bash. Plus, matches announced for the TBS premiere as we continue towards the new year. This is your AEW Holiday Bash review on the Fourth Wall Wrestling Podcast. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to the Fourth Wall Wrestling Podcast. I'm Will. I'm here with Brandon. How's it going?
Great.
Good to hear. Wow. Last night, man, AEW and Tony Khan really brought it last night. We got a great edition of the Holiday Bash. Far better than last year. Last year it was on at 10 o'clock at night after a basketball game. So they did a lot better this year getting that scheduling figured out, especially with, they benefited from the pause in the NHL. So they were able to run a mistake-free show. So Brandon, Holiday Bash, man, they brought it like I said. Give me your thoughts. What do you think?
It was really good. The crowd was hot. North Carolina crowds are always hot. I feel like North Carolina is, it's not as recognized as a wrestling state as it used to be. I like how it is now. Yeah. Yeah. And this is pretty sure Tony Khan said he's gonna try to make this a yearly thing at the same location, which is great. So maybe we can try to be there next year. But yeah, on the show though, this show was great. I really liked it. A lot of AEW, on Dynamite Weekly, they have good shows. So wasn't shocked that this was good, but this was really, really good. I really enjoyed the show last night.
Yeah, man. It was a good show from top to bottom. Take away the Kyle O'Reilly debut, and we still got a great show. That opener between Cassidy and Cole, perfection. That main event was great too. It had that was a match that I felt like had a big fight feel. Malachi Black had a decent showing versus Griff Garrison. I'm interested to see where that goes. I'll give my thoughts on where I see that headed because I have an idea. And we got matches confirmed for the TBS premiere. We got the one down spot of the show was the Nyla Rose Ruby Soho match. I didn't really like that match. I know I'm not the only one. I'll get into that later, but Brandon, Kyle O'Reilly is all elite, bro. The big part of the show, in my opinion. We knew this was happening. From the minute War Games ended, when we saw Kyle be attacked by Von Wagner to the steel cage match, we knew that was his last night. And we knew that this moment was destined to happen. And it was all but confirmed last week that we were getting it. So Kyle O'Reilly made a great decision becoming all elite because, quite frankly, what he's getting in AEW is going to be the rebirth and the rejuvenation of the Undisputed Era, and I'm all for it. And on top of that, what he would have gotten in WWE is far inferior. So the moment was great. I popped for it, even though I knew it was happening. And AEW got this right. They got the debut correct, and I'm extremely happy they did, and I knew they would. So, Brandon, biggest moment of the night, Kyle O'Reilly debuting. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, so as soon as I see good old Bobby Fish, run on down to the ring, I was like, oh, bro, here he comes. I can feel it. The whole crowd could feel it. And you saw the crowd getting loud, and I was like, where is he? And he pops up. I love that shot, by the way. Him just like emerging out of nowhere and then just being there. Bro, that was so great, and I was just so happy. I'm so happy to see him. Happy to see Bobby, Adam, and Kyle, all of them back together. It just brings joy to Cole Spirit to have his brothers, in the company with him. Literally everybody, that he loves, in this business is there with him in the same company. It just makes me really happy for Cole. Makes me happy for Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, because they get to bring back that tag team action that they had, the NXT of old days. And I'm just excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, man. Think of all the possibilities that we could get. Young Bucks and Redragon, Red Dragon, however you want to call it. I've heard it both ways. Red Dragon versus FTR. That's a dream match for me. Even though we've seen it in NXT, I want to see it now. Red Dragon against the Hardy Boys one day. Red Dragon against the Briscoes. Those are dream matches. Imagine all those possibilities. And think about what we're gonna get inside of the Elite. We're gonna get the Bucks and Red Dragon. We're gonna get the Undisputed Era or whatever they're called in AEW against the Elite. We're gonna get all those matches, and it's gonna be a top thing on AEW television for the next 6 months. So I'm excited for it. I do have one piece of news to get into before we get into the Dynamite review. Matt Hardy relates the differences between Vince McMahon and Tony Khan. He said there are many differences between the two. He noted how comfortable the AEW locker room is with Tony Khan in charge compared to the locker room with Vince McMahon in charge. So immediately right there, that tells you Tony Khan is a good leader. He has a family mentality backstage. He is liked. Everybody likes him. He also said how Tony Khan is always accessible and easy to talk to, and Vince is hard to reach. So, what I gather from this article is Tony Khan is not just there to be their boss, he's there to be their friend. And I noticed that family mentality runs deep because of so many people coming. We already knew this. So, Brandon, using Matt Hardy's comments, what can you say to what can you say about this?
Yeah, you can tell by the way Tony acts. When he has his post media scrums, if you go back and look at them on AEW channel, Tony is just so welcoming. He hugs everybody that comes on stage. Sits right there next to him and lets them talk. And he just looks like a little kid in a candy shop when he has, when he brought CM Punk to the company, when he brought Ruby Soho to the company, when he brought Brian Cole, Jay Lethal, everybody. You can tell that he's here for the wrestling. He's not, he doesn't have a big ego. He's not trying to, he doesn't come off like Vince is that big egomaniac, that big boss who doesn't have time for any of his employees. Tony is there, and he shows that he's there to be for it.
Yeah, Tony Khan instills values into his company. That's the best way I can put it. That man has morals. He is there to help out his talent. He knows every one of his talent personally, and they have a good relationship. And if they don't, he works to build a good relationship. Tony Khan is a guy who cares about this industry more than he cares about himself. I think you could safe to say. He does a lot for this industry, and he has a lot of love for everybody in it. And he's always looking to put the best talent in the best situations. I don't get that feeling from Vince McMahon. Vince is a corporate guy. He's a businessman. He's not there to be nice or be friends with any of his talent unless they make him the big money. And I think ultimately that's why WWE is failing and AEW is succeeding. Because guys want to go to work for Tony Khan. Guys don't really want to work for Vince McMahon. They just want to be in TV showcasing their skills, and half of them don't even get to do that. So Matt Hardy is very correct in this assessment, and I appreciate the openness Tony Khan has to give guys like Matt Hardy the platform to even go on interviews and talk like this. So, definitely not surprised at all here. But, AEW Holiday Bash, very, very good show. I enjoyed it top to bottom. We'll get started, but before we get started, Brandon, Holiday Bash, going into New Year's Smash, going into the TBS debut, going into Battle of the Belts. What are you looking forward to the most?
Me personally, since you're gonna be there at Battle of the Belts, even though I got announced it's only gonna be 1 hour, there's still gonna be moments that I feel like we only get to see because Tony Khan does that a lot, and I don't think we're gonna leave, that the Blood Angels Coliseum disappointed. I think we're still gonna see everybody, who we want to see. In the matches there, I think the match is gonna be fire as well. too. So because I'm going to it, Battle of the Belts.
Yeah, we'll be there. So expect a vlog from that. Look, Tony Khan isn't gonna leave us, um, you know, with that empty feeling. He's gonna take care of us. He goes to every city and takes care of his people. Um, so I'm looking forward to everything, to be honest with you. I feel like the way they've constructed next week's card leads right into the TBS debut.
Yep.
The TBS debut will lead right into the next week. That's what I love about AEW. They don't consider themselves episodic television, and they do episodic television better than WWE. One thing leads to another. Simple. Progressions. But Holiday Bash kicked off with Adam Cole, baby, against Orange Cassidy. Cassidy taunts Cole to start the match. The two talk trash and do their signature poses. Technical wrestling as they finally start to, really begin the match. Cassidy gets a pair of roll-ups for 2. Orange begins to work over Cole, but Cole fights back in the match. Both men trade holds back and forth with the headlock takeovers. Cole goes on offense, working over Orange. Orange reverses a hold on Cole and hits an arm drag. He gets a roll-up for 2. Cole locks in a hold and works over Cassidy once again. Cassidy rolls Cole up for 2, followed by a backslide for 2. But Cole gets Orange tied up in the ropes and hits a backstabber. Cole tees off in the corner and tosses Orange across the ring. Cole goes up top, but Orange meets him there. He goes for the superplex, but Orange prevents and shoves Cole off. He hits a diving crossbody and gets a tornado DDT for 2. He heads up top as the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler come down the ramp. Cassidy dives down on Cutler as the best friends come in and even the odds. Cassidy dives with the suicide dive onto the Bucks and runs them off. Cole throws Cassidy into the steps twice and goes for the boom. He lowered the knee pad, went for the boom, but Orange moved out of the way rather, sending Cole knee first into the steel steps. We go to commercial. During the break, picture-in-picture commercial. During the break, Cole throws Cassidy around on the outside. He delivers knees to the back and locks in a hold. Cassidy fights up and the two collide for a double clothesline. The two fight from their knees, throwing punches back and forth. Cassidy does his weak slap strikes just to get in the head of Cole. It's great. Cole taunts him, but Orange does his signature soft kicks, the super kicks. Looks great. He dodges Cole offense and gets a kick to the face. Super kick. Cole goes for... Hold on, where am I? Cole goes for another one, but Cassidy rolls him up for 2. Cole fights back and gets a brainbuster for 2. Cassidy breaks free from a fireman's carry, and Cole kicks Cassidy in the face with a pump kick. Cassidy counters and hits Stun Dog Millionaire. He jumps off the top rope with a diving DDT for a 2 count. Cole hits a Ushigoroshi and a low pump kick to the back of Cassidy's head. That looked great. I love that spot. Cole taunts him and gets to the corner. Cole sets up and looks for the Panama Sunrise, but Cassidy backs away out of the ring. Cole goes to get Orange, but gets cradled for a 2 count. Cole then delivers a Michinoku driver for 2. Rather, Cassidy hits a Michinoku driver for 2. Orange puts the shades on, heads up top, and puts his hands in the pockets. He jumps towards Cole and is met with a super kick, followed by the Panama Sunrise, and gets a 2 count. Very, very close, good-looking 2 count. Cole pulls his knee pad up and then back down and misses the boom. Cassidy hits the beach break and gets a 2 count. I thought that was the end of the match. Once he hit the beach break, I thought that was it. I was kind of surprised that they were about to have Cole lose, and then Cole kicked out. So, Cassidy gets fired up and goes for the orange punch, but Cole slides out. Bobby Fish comes down to the ring and gets on the apron. He distracts the ref, and Brandon, this is where it all went down. The crowd starts to go crazy. Orange has no idea what's going on. Bobby Fish is distracting the ref. Then all of a sudden you see Kyle O'Reilly pop up right behind Orange Cassidy. Like Brandon said earlier, that shot looked great. He attacks Cassidy from behind the ref's back. Cole then slid in the ring, I think the knee pad was already down, and hit the boom for the 3 count. So we got a great opening match here. After the match, Kyle O'Reilly attacks Orange, but Cole kind of pulls him off. The two face off before the best friends run in. Cole super kicks. I believe it was either Taylor or Yuta. I looked away for a second and missed it. And then Fish and Kyle O'Reilly hit the high-low on Trent Beretta. The Young Bucks come down to the ring looking confused as the Undisputed Era poses together. Cole, Fish, and O'Reilly all leave together, leaving the Bucks behind. So, Brandon, first, give me your thoughts on this opening match. I thought it was absolutely perfect. It was a great open to the show.
Oh, yeah, this match was a banger. Anytime Adam Cole goes out there, he has a good match. Same thing with our boy OC. They're both great wrestlers, and together, they put on a great fire opening match. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought this was the perfect match to open the show because I'm sorry to the listeners right there. I just hit my mic. I thought this was a perfect open to the show because you got two guys who are capable of, competing at a high level, so you want a hot opener. So this fulfilled all the boxes for me. And then you get the debut. I think the debut was very well executed because, it made sense. Bobby Fish distracted the ref. Kyle O'Reilly slid in, did his thing, got out of the ring, let Cole win, and then he came back in. Brandon, we talked about this debut in the open of the show, but, this was well executed. What do you think of the way AEW chose to do this, and do you agree, or do you think they should have done it differently?
I thought this was great. This is this is basically the way I kind of expected it, to happen. I think everybody else did too. So, yeah, I thought it was cool just the way it was.
Yeah, agreed. Now, the only thing, and I've seen other people saying this, but it's not an overwhelming consensus, but this was supposed to be Adam Cole's, surprise for everybody, right? So,
Right.
why when Kyle O'Reilly slid in the ring and beat down Orange after the match was Adam Cole looking surprised? Why were the Bucks... I can get why the Bucks were surprised. Maybe Cole didn't tell him what it is. But why was Cole looking surprised when Kyle came in the ring and beat down Orange? This is supposed to be your surprise. You should be in on this. Why do you look confused? Brandon, what do you think that was?
I don't know. It was weird to me. Because when I was watching, I was in the moment, I was like, oh, well, this makes sense. But then when the commentary mentioned it, I was like, wait. Yeah, that is a surprise. And then they were all sitting together, just back to normal. So I was like, what was that? It was weird. I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm not the only one who noticed it, but I don't see enough people talking about it, to be honest. It didn't make sense, but we get it. So, man, I'm excited to have Kyle O'Reilly in AEW. And he brought back the old Undisputed hairstyle, so I really like that as well. We go to break. Back from the break. Tony Schiavone with Adam Page inside the ring. They announced the Hangman versus Bryan Danielson is confirmed for the TBS premiere. Schiavone congratulates Hangman on his match last week. Tells him he was so close and he would have won if he had another minute or two. Hangman grabs the mic and says after 60 minutes covered in sweat and blood, he was handed back the title, and he saw his face in the title. He said he had never felt less of a champion in his 3 years in AEW. He says the only feeling he has is disappointment. Danielson comes out onto the ramp with a mic. Wait. That's what he said. He says the Hangman is a Millennium Cowboy, and he has the title, yet is still disappointed. He shows fake sympathy for Hangman and says the AEW fans should be disappointed because Bryan kicked his ass for 60 minutes, and if anybody should be champ, it's him. But he isn't somebody who will cry about his feelings. He said in the rematch, he will do it all over again, except this time, walk out with the title. He said he doesn't want Hangman to survive. He makes excuses for the draw. He says his match with John Silver, he was still feeling the effects of it. So he says he won't be wrestling this week or next week. He won't wrestle until the Holiday Bash, or until the TBS premiere, rather. He said if Adam Page stalls for another 60 minutes, the rightful champion is still empty-handed and we are still in the same predicament. Bryan says he won't complain. However, he has a solution. He proposes that the January 5th match on TBS should have judges, so that if Hangman stalls, everybody will see that Bryan should be the champion. Hangman says that's real creative. He says he's thought of an Iron Man match, a cage match, an Inferno match, or a match with no time limit. But he says Bryan took him over 30 minutes, which nobody has ever done. Hangman says for the last few moments he swam, and if he had 3 more seconds, he would have drowned Bryan. He says if Bryan wants the time limit with judges, they can give some old guys a payday. He says he better pay them in advance because they won't earn it, because they won't need to do any judging. That was a great line. Hangman says he has given away too much time, blood, sweat, and years to this business to have old guys sit at ringside and tell him he isn't good enough or that he's a B-plus player. He says that the answer to the question, can Hangman beat Bryan in under 60 minutes, is yes. And that's how that promo segment came to an end. So, Brandon, I really like this segment. This was a good showing on the mic for Hangman and Bryan. So we have the match confirmed. They decide not to do it at Battle of the Belts, which I'm a little disappointed at. But, it's for an hour show. You can't have this and 2 other matches on because this has to take up most of the time.
Yeah.
So I'm a little less disappointed about that, but it's not happening at Revolution at the end of February, I believe, either. So, what are your thoughts on the choice to put this on the TBS premiere?
Well, like I said, when you go into a new network, you want to have a big show to get the eyes put on. So I don't blame them for putting this on the TBS premiere at all. It's it's smart. I'm pretty sure this time around I would assume it would main event, or is it kicking off? I don't know.
No, it's got a main event.
Yeah, I feel like
you can't have 2 TV matches kicking off for the world title.
Yeah, I feel like I heard them say something about kicking it off, but either way,
they probably meant like kicking off the new year, like.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like I said, I don't blame them for putting this on the TBS premiere. This is gonna be along with the finals for the TBS title match, and what else is gonna be on that show? But there's something else announced for that show.
No, we don't have anything else yet.
Okay. Well, yeah. Either way, it's smart on their behalf to put it on TBS for the reasons I just mentioned.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it's a smart decision to try and pack your premiere on a new network. I can't fault Tony Khan for doing it because I think that is the proper place to do it now that I think about it. I don't know where they're leading with this. I think that as we head towards Revolution, we could see another dirty finish on the TBS premiere, and we get it again at Revolution, maybe? Brandon, are you open to having a third match at Revolution? Or do you think that's waiting too long?
I mean, the only reason I don't know if it will go long until Revolution because these guys. Well, I mean it could. It really just depends on how the match goes after their next match. If it's a clean victory for Hangman, and because these two really hate each other now at this point, and so yeah, I don't know if it'll go all the way to Revolution, but yeah, it's kind of hard to tell right now. We're gonna have to see after the second match how that goes.
Yeah, if it's a clean finish, the feud ends. If it's a dirty finish, we get it at Revolution. I think that's the safe thing to say. Okay, so my next question is, what do you think of this whole judge stipulation? Like, how do you think they'll come into play in the match, and what do you think the purpose of these judges are?
I don't know. I'll be straight with you. I have no clue. Because it's still just a normal, one-on-one match just with judges. I don't know what the judges are gonna be there for.
I think what they're gearing up for, and I may be wrong. I don't think they go another 60 minutes. But I think what they could be gearing up for is the judges having to come into play to make the decision. And they go in favor of Hangman. And Brian doesn't like that. And he's like, no, 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 no. Hangman was right all along. These judges don't know anything. And then we get a third match at Revolution. I think that may be what the judges' purpose are. But I don't know why you'd bring, like Hangman said, I don't know why you'd bring these old guys out and give them a payday to not use them. So I think that was a shoot. It sure sounded like a shoot. So I don't know what they could be doing with these judges, but I'm excited for this world title match on January 5th. The Pinnacle backstage. MJF thanks Shaun Spears and Wardlow for the champagne, but criticizes them for not being earlier. MJF says he pays Wardlow lots of money to protect him, and he wasn't there when he was beat down by Punk. He says this is all Punk's fault. CM Punk's fault. He says him and FTR are family, and Punk knows nothing about that. He says he sees through Punk. He says everything has to be about Punk. And when it's not, he doesn't like that. He insults Punk and says when Punk refused to shake his hand, he chose early retirement. Dax Harwood then chimes in and says, to be a king, you have to kill a king. And him and the boys in FTR and MJF are the three kings of pro wrestling. He says, if you're in the pinnacle, you're on top. So I'm going to be straight with y'all. I did not get everything out of this promo because I was listening and I was feeling this promo. Like, I loved that promo. So I didn't get everything written down, but I took the important parts. So clearly, I can gather multiple things from here. One, the cracks with Wardlow and MJF are growing bigger. The whole Punk and MJF feud is heating up even more because MJF doesn't even need to be in a promo battle with Punk. He can still deliver a good promo and be in the ring. And, we are fulfilled with what we're getting from that feud. So, Brandon, what were your thoughts on this promo? I really liked it.
Anytime MJF is on my TV screen, I just sit back and take it in because we're witnessing history. This is great. Anytime MJF is on our TV, just sitting there and talking, it's going to be good. And that's exactly what this was.
Yeah, and you know how I mentioned earlier the main event gave it a big fight feel? That promo really set it all up because we know that we had 2 or 3 working storylines in that match, and I was really excited for it. So that promo was very good to create hype for the main event. That is how you cut a backstage promo creating hype for a main event. WWE needs to take notes. Wardlow versus Captain Shaun Dean. This match went about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, you'd say. And Wardlow hit 4 power bombs on Shaun Dean and got the 3 count. After the match, Spears beats down Captain Shaun Dean with a chair and raises Wardlow's hand. So, what do you think they're doing with Wardlow in these squash matches?
Obviously, building him up as a beast. This is definitely leading up to, like I said, it's gonna end up to where Wardlow and MJF, part ways, and whether that's MJF just going, crazy on Wardlow and attacking him, or we just see, Wardlow get that baby face and get tired of, getting talked down to and, treated like he's dumb, and just it's over with it and attack MJF, kind of like how they did with Triple H and Batista back in the day. How Triple H and Rick would always talk, down on Batista, say he was dumb, wasn't doing anything right. kind of like how Jeff's kind of doing with Wardlow, right now, but not as hard yet. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it's leading to, and Wardlow, being getting these squash matches every week is just building him up like a beast, which I like.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Wardlow. I think he will be a future world champion one day. But I feel like they need to kind of hold off on putting him in that picture yet because he's not ready. He
Mm-hmm.
hasn't reached the level of maturity in this business to go on his own and be a big star yet. I feel like putting him on TV, they're already prepping him well by putting him on TV, but I hope they don't pull the trigger too early. And I hope this goes on for a while longer. You give MJF time to win the world title. You give MJF time to become the biggest name in wrestling. And you have, Wardlow kind of be his lackey, and MJF kind of pushes him around as world champion. And then you finally get that turn. And then we can say Wardlow is that top babyface in the company, and then we get that feud. And although I don't know if the feud ends with Wardlow taking the title, but I feel like at least Wardlow will cost MJF the title. I don't know if he takes it from him, but he will cost him the title, whoever MJF loses to. And we get that feud, and then that's how we get Wardlow into the main event superstardom scene. So I'm excited for what's to come with Wardlow. I'm a big fan of his. Dan Lambert. I missed the first part of this promo, but what I heard was that he was ragging on the fans, and he said Tony Khan wants to get the fans to cheer for Cody Rhodes. He says he doesn't care who we cheer for or boo. He doesn't care whether it's Cody or Sammy that wins on Saturday. All he cares about is that Ethan Page or Scorpio Sky gets the next title shot, and when they do, they won't need help from TK to bring the TNT title back to American Top Team. So, Brandon, although I didn't see all of this promo, I heard that it was a very, very good promo from Dan Lambert once again. Dan Lambert and the Men of the Year are kind of growing on me a little bit. I need to see more from Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, but from what I see every week on the mic and in the ring at least, they're pretty good. So, I already know who won on Saturday, or who will win on Saturday. They taped it last night, but Brandon is keeping reserved on this matter, and I don't blame him. But, Ethan Page wants the next shot, or Scorpio Sky wants the next shot. I'm not sure what they'll do, but Brandon, do you think we're leading to an Ethan Page or Scorpio Sky versus Sammy Guevara or Cody Rhodes at Battle of the Belts?
Yeah, I could definitely see it going there. Like you said, Men of the Year are good, and with Dan Lambert with him to take them up a notch. We definitely need to see like more of them, more like in ring stuff, more stacking those wins, being more dominant, because they got the mic stuff down, but they need to start, they need to start doing like what they say, so. But yeah, I could definitely see it going there. Scorpio Sky is great. Ethan Page is great. And Dan Lambert, he's amazing on the mic. He has amazing heel heat. So yeah, I could definitely see it going there with them. Either one of them getting the next shot at whoever the TNT champion is coming out of Saturday.
So right here, right now, you don't know who wins. So I'm just gonna ask you this question: who do you want to win, and who do you think will win, and why?
So I want Sammy to win.
Why?
Because I feel like he needs more of a reign, because ever since he's been champion, everybody loves Sammy Guevara, but his title reign has been very underwhelming, and that's the truth. I think he should win for the same reason. He gives us fire matches when he does defend, but we need to see him more, on TV doing stuff. More promos, more whatever it is, more matches, more backstage segments, whatever, backstage promos, whatever. But we need to see more of Sammy, to get this title reign feeling like as more than it should. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I got you. Now, if Cody Rhodes won, do you think that solidifies his heel turn, or do you think it's a part of the slow burn?
Um, if Cody wins, it's gonna make everybody, just dislike him more than they already do because Cody he has everybody wants him to turn heel. He doesn't get any cheers. So him winning the title would definitely make a lot of people mad because everybody loves Sammy, and I feel like with them doing the tease, if he does win it, I feel like he's going to use some type of heel tactic too if he does win. But yeah, I think Sammy should win.
Okay. That's all. That's all we'll say about that because I don't want to go too deep into the questions on what you think and give it away. So, Britt Baker, her Christmas party. She wishes us a Merry Christmas, and Tony Schiavone asks about Riho. He mentions that Britt has never beat Riho, and she says Britt says she is bigger and stronger and has Jamie Hayter. She says 2021 was the era of DMD, and she says she built her throne and kingdom from the ground up, and she built the division. She says Riho should have stayed under the bottom rope at All Out, and that Riho is out of her league, and that she'll shoot her eye out. So she referenced a Christmas movie. She does her signature DMD, and the segment comes to an end. Now, Brandon, do you know where that "shoot your eye out, kid" line comes from? Like specifically which movie? I'm not a Christmas movie. I'm not a Christmas movie person, so I know it is from a Christmas movie because I heard it, but I'm not sure which one.
I feel like I've definitely heard it before. I don't know.
Oh well. So we're getting this match at Battle of the Belts in a couple weeks, right? So I think we're definitely in agreement that Britt wins, correct?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So once Britt wins, I think what we see is we start seeing that progression towards Rosa and Britt at Revolution. Now here's my question to you. We got to get Rosa there. So on the finals of the TBS title tournament, I believe and I hope it will be Thunder Rosa and Ruby Soho. We already know it'll be Ruby, but I hope it's Thunder Rosa. So,
Yeah.
during that match, do you think we see Britt and Jamie and Rebel cost Rosa the match, and that's how we get into that progression?
Maybe, possibly. I don't know how else they'd get Rosa there. But yeah, that could happen.
I hope that's what they do so that we can start building towards that. Now, I believe this match will happen at Revolution. This is a main event caliber match, and if you don't believe me, go back and watch their Lights Out Unsanctioned match from St. Patrick's Day Slam in March 20 something, March 20 something. So this match should main event Revolution if we're getting Bryan and Hangman 3. I believe
Yeah.
Rosa and Britt should main event because we've seen the Bryan and Hangman match before. So that's if that's the match. So do you think even if the world title match is something new, we should still get Rosa and Britt as the main event to kind of like be the biggest moment or the biggest match in the women's division so far?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. And do you think that they can deliver on this being the biggest match in women's division history?
Yeah, go back and look at their match at the St. Patrick's Day Slam. They killed it. A lot of people would say that that's the best Dynamite match in history they've had yet so far, and you can definitely agree with them because it is that match was crazy good.
If you believe that, I won't tell you you're wrong.
Yeah, a lot of people do believe that, but I personally don't. But it was still a very good match.
It's in my top 5.
Mm-hmm. A lot of. I think the world title, not main eventing would be okay because they're not like WWE where it's like it's a reoccurrence and you see it all the time. No matter usually how bigger matches there are, the AEW title usually still main events. Like back it all out. I personally thought Darby and Punk was going to main event, but they still had Kenny and Christian main event as they should have because of what happened after. So that made a lot of sense. Um, so, but yeah, the AEW title usually always main event. So, even if that doesn't, main event, the women's championship is still the women's world championship. So it's still like a top title on AEW. So if you want to get technical, the AEW world title would still be in the main event. Just the women.
I think that is the proper main event for Revolution because of how much it means to the women's division. Now, you don't need an entire women's revolution to get the women's division over. This is enough, I think, to get that division over. And do you think the proper decision at Revolution is Rosa walking out with the title?
Yes.
I do as well. And then from there, we can go to Jade Cargill, I think, is the one to take it off of Rosa eventually. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. The match with Riho at Battle of the Belts, that really doesn't interest me. That's the only match we have confirmed for Battle of the Belts, so, what do you think of that match?
Like you said, I'm not that excited about it, but coming off of what Riho did a couple weeks ago with Jane Hader, we know Riho can have a good match, and the match should still really be good. Yeah. As for whatever else they do, I don't know how many matches are going to be on the cards since it is only being 1 hour. I could see it being probably up to 3.
I think it's going to be booked like a Rampage.
Yeah.
3 matches.
So that means probably, most likely 3, one of the 3 being fairly kind of short. Yeah, it should be a good match. I'm just not as excited for it. But I'm excited to see, our girl DMD since we didn't see her there last time.
Yeah, I'm a big Brit fan, so I'm excited to see her there. Owen Hart, we saw footage from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Mark Henry said that Owen taught him how to be ribbed and rib people back. Adam Cole, Matt Hardy 2.0, Eddie Kingston, Dustin Rhodes, and Shaun Spears all gave tributes to Owen Hart. So I thought we were going to get more info on the Owen tournament, but I guess that's going to wait. But, go back and watch Breaking the Wall from Monday. We talked about how to properly book the Owen tournament, the Owen Cup. But Brandon, the excitement is building. I can't wait for this.
Me either.
Ruby Soho versus Nyla Rose. This match really didn't do it for me. And I'll explain why. Nyla Rose attacks Soho before the match, beats her down. Soho begins to fight back with strikes, but Nyla slams her down and goes on offense. Rose gets stomps in the corner and throws Soho across the ring. Soho puts on a unique arm submission and begins to strike Rose. Rose counters and plants Soho with a chokeslam. She goes for a beast bomb, but Soho fights out and is met with a clothesline. Rose tosses Soho to the outside and jumps off the apron with a double sledge. Rose continues her offense on the outside, but Soho fights back with a series of headbutts. She goes flying into the steel steps when Vicky Guerrero pulls Nyla Rose out of the way. We go to commercial. Rose hits a scoop slam on the floor and taunts the crowd. Ruby fights back in the match and sends Nyla to the floor. Nyla pulls out a chair, but Soho dives from the apron and kicks the chair against Nyla's face. Ruby heads up top. Vicky shoves her off the top rope and gets her tied up in the ropes. Nyla hits a flying knee drop for 2. She throws Ruby into the corner, but Ruby fights back and slips out of a slam, and then transition into a great looking dragon sleeper. So Ruby is so underrated, by the way. Nyla began to tap, but Vicky got on the apron and distracted the ref. I think it was Aubrey Edwards. Ruby knocked Vicky off of the apron with the step up enziguri, and Nyla hits a beast bomb for a 2 count. I thought that was it. I was about to be very shocked. Nyla heads up top and looks for, I believe, a splash, but Ruby pulls her down, connects with a no future. that looked great from the top rope and gets a 3 count. So Ruby Soho punching her ticket into the finals of the TBS title tournament. Brandon, she'll face probably Thunder Rosa, but it could be Jade Cargill. So do you think when that match comes around on the TBS premiere, I believe that's when we'll get it. Do you see Ruby Soho walking out with the title?
Yeah, I do, because man, the way she feels, in AEW versus she did in WWE is it's night and day. She feels like an absolute star. She is a great person to have as your first champion. And yeah, she's probably gonna do wonders with the title. So yeah, she definitely needs to be the one to win, and I think she is the one to win.
Agreed. Now, on the off chance we don't get this on the TBS premiere, which I don't think will happen, what do you think of this match happening at Battle of the Belts?
That would be good, with 2 women's matches, but yeah, it is supposed to happen at
on the TBS premiere.
Yeah. On the TBS premiere, because I did more research on the Battle of the Belts, and a report about it came on. So, and in the report it said that it is supposed to be on the TBS premiere, and the chances of it, being on Battle of the Belts or still having a defense on Battle of the Belts wouldn't make, because you wouldn't have enough time
to build anything.
Everything. So yeah. So the TBS premiere makes a lot of sense, because it's for the TBS championship. So yeah.
Agreed. Malachi Black versus Griff Garrison. Black hits a huge kick to the side of Garrison's head as soon as the bell rings. Black slides out and goes face-to-face with Brian Pillman Jr., but Griff flies through the ropes and takes out Black. I wrote down Garrison in the notes. He goes on offense inside the ring. Malachi fights back with the strikes. Malachi Black is such a great striker. He locks on a leg bar, but Garrison fights his way over to the ropes. Malachi throws Garrison into the corner, hits the big strikes. Griff throws Malachi against the ropes throat first. So that actually looked really good. The transition between Malachi striking him in the corner to Griff just tossing him against the ropes looked good. Griff fights off an attack and hits a rolling elbow for 2, a loud rolling elbow for 2. Malachi counters some Griff Garrison offense and hits a few big kicks to the body. Malachi taunts Griff and picks his leg, transitioning into the single leg crab, forcing Griff to tap. He locks on the hold, keeps it on after the match, and Pillman throws him off. But as Pillman tries to step up to Black, he eats a spinning roundhouse kick. The Black Mass looked great to Brian Pillman, and that's how that segment comes to an end. So, no Brody King tonight. I'm not surprised. Brandon, when do you think we get Brody King?
I would assume we get him fairly soon. I don't know when the next time, Black is gonna be advertised for something on, or if he just has a segment. But if you're talking about out in the ring, out in front of the crowd, I'd say when the next time whenever Malachi is out there, yeah.
So now I'll ask you this: we keep hearing and seeing, the whole House of Black thing. Could we be getting Julia Hart in the House of Black, do you think?
That'd be interesting. That'd be really interesting. This House of Black thing, it could this could really, and I think it will, do wonders for Black and the, whoever, how many people they, want to be in the group. But yeah, I think Julia Hart in it, would be I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think we're eventually going to get Brody King and Malachi Black versus the Varsity Blondes. Julia will have been off TV for a few weeks now, and we get Julia returning to cost Varsity Blondes the match. We get her transition into the House of Black, and that could be a pretty good 3-people stable. And then another name I've been thinking of putting in the House of Black is Lee Johnson. He's with Julia Hart, so we could potentially get Malachi Black, Brody King, Lee Johnson, and Julia Hart all in the House of Black, and I think that would be a pretty dominating faction on Wednesday and Friday nights. What do you think of that?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right, we got some matches confirmed. Jungle Boy versus Isaiah Cassidy confirmed for Rampage, and so is Chris Statlander versus Layla Hirsch confirmed for Holiday Bash edition of Rampage. Next week on Dynamite, we have the Undisputed Era versus the Best Friends. Jade Cargill versus Thunder Rosa in the semifinals of the TBS title tournament. We have Eddie Kingston and Proud and Powerful versus Daniel Garcia in 2.0. And Jim Ross returns to commentary. Man, I'm extremely happy for Jim Ross. He fought cancer like a beast. And hopefully he gets back on commentary and stays there for a very long time. So I'm happy to see Jim Ross back. But Brandon, one thing I noticed about this is Proud and Powerful teaming up with Eddie Kingston. What do you think of that trio?
That should be interesting. I think that's a really interesting dynamic. It should be good though.
Yeah. So Matt Hardy backstage. He says the Jurassic Express had an adorable moment with the Lucha Brothers and congratulates them on the number one contendership. And he says if Cassidy will injure him on Saturday night so that Private Party becomes the number one contenders. I don't think we're getting Private Party's number one contenders quite yet. I think we're gonna get Jungle Boy beating Isaiah Cassidy, and we're going to get Lucha Brothers versus Jurassic Express at the Battle of the Belts. So,
yeah.
Brandon, looking at the card for Saturday night at Holiday Bash and next week for New Year's Smash, like I said earlier in the show, it leads right into the next week. So, what are you looking forward to the most for next Wednesday night?
Ooh.
That's a tough one.
Most definitely Best Friends versus the reunited Undisputed Era. It's gonna be cool to see them all back together, seeing Kyle in the ring in AEW. I think that's what I'm most excited for. And I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I'm also interested to see how the Cargill Rosa match continues on, because I think Rosa wins that, and that's how they set up the Soho Thunder Rosa match for the TBS premiere. So we're in for a good show next week. Main event time.
What if it's the other way around? What if they come out and distract her in the finals match so she doesn't get a shot at the TBS title and Jade ends up winning, then Jade goes to the finals, then they start, getting to it like that. How do you feel about that?
No. I think they do it in the finals.
Mm.
I think it means more in the finals.
Yeah.
It means more because Rosa can then say, well, Britt, you costed me my title, so now it's time for me to cost you yours. I think that's the dynamic they're trying to lead to.
Yeah.
Main event time. MJ FTR. I like how they combine the names. That makes them seem, that adds to the big fight feel. And let me just say, Sting's face paint looked terrific. I popped for that. Darby Allin looked great. CM Punk looked great. He shaved. He got the old Sting face paint from back in the day. Punk and MJF started off this match. As you can guess, MJF quickly tagged out. So I like how Tony Khan kept MJF and Punk away from each other in this match. So
of course.
That's Wrestling 101. You keep them away from each other. He tagged out to Dax Harwood. Technical wrestling to start. Slaps back and forth and more technical wrestling. Dax hit a big shoulder block. Punk comes back with a hip toss and an arm drag. Dax tags in Cash and Punk takes control. He tags in Darby, but Cash counters and goes on offense. Darby hits a dropkick followed by an arm drag. Cash tags in MJF and MJF runs from Darby. Punk tags in. Technical wrestling from Cash and Punk. Sting tags in and goes to work on Cash. He looks for the Scorpion Death Drop, or Scorpion Death Lock, MJF tags in, and the two struggle to tag out. Like they're holding on to each other. One of them's trying to tag out, the other one's trying to tag out. They both can't. Sting hits a clothesline, tags Punk in. Punk and MJF run out into the crowd and brawl up the stairs. They go around the concourse and come back down and run back into the ringside area. So that looked great. And then out of left field, Darby runs right through the ropes and slams right into MJF TR. That looked amazing. I love Darby Suicide Dive.
He like throws his body and he hits him so hard.
I imagine how that feels to take that, like from Darby. Imagine a dude coming at about 15 miles per hour through the ropes. 15 miles per hour for human speed is pretty quick too. We go to commercial. Punk, Sting, and Darby went to work on Cash in the corner. Sting brings Cash in the ring with a suplex and tags in Punk. Punk works over Cash in the corner and hits mounted punches. Punk hits a big shot right in the face for a 2 count. Darby tags in and goes to work on Cash as well. Dax enters the ring and fights him off. Cash dumps Darby over the top rope and FTR beat him down on the outside. Dax tags in and hits a leg drop followed by an elbow drop and a fist drop. Cash tags in and goes to work. He tags MJF in, who hits Punk in the face with a water bottle. MJF goes to work on Darby. Dax tags back in and hits a trio, I believe, of suplexes before tagging in Cash, who has some offense of his own. MJF tags back in, hits a scoop slam. Dax tags in and taunts the opposing corner. He hits a scoop slam and tags in Cash. Darby rolls Cash up and hits 2. He hits a snake eyes followed by a scoop slam. He fights up and makes a tag to Sting. Dax tags in as well, and Sting goes on offense. He slams Dax's face into the corner over and over. He hits a back body drop to Cash and a spine buster to MJF. He hits splashes to FTR, corner to corner, and Darby hits a coffin splash. Punk follows it up with a rising knee, and Sting follows it up with another stinger splash. Sting locks in the Scorpion Deathlock, but MJF breaks it up. Dax then uses MJF breaking it up to get a 2 count. We go to commercial. I'm not sure what Brandon's doing over there. During the break, MJF TR beat Sting down and work him over. Sting fights back, and he takes himself and Cash out with a double clothesline. Dax tags in and goes for a splash, imitating Sting. But Sting catches him and hits a slam. Both men are down. MJF tags in, and Sting drives MJF down head first. Sting hits a nutcracker, which is what Excalibur called it. I thought that was funny. Little headbutt drop right into the testicles of MJF. He tags in Punk. Punk fights off FTR with a pair of leg lariats. He hits rising knees in the corner, followed by a bulldog and clothesline combo. That looked really good. And a tope suicida. Punk hits a crossbody for 2. Punk does his little go-to-sleep pose and looks for the GTS on Cash. Dax pulls Cash in, but pulls him by the foot over to the corner, tags in. Punk once again fights off FTR and hits a neckbreaker to Dax for a 2 count. Punk heads up top, but Cash holds on. Punk shoves him off, but Dax immediately runs back up and crotches him. He heads up top and looks for the suplex, but both men trade right hands on the top. Punk knocks Dax off of the top, but Cash is able to tag in and kind of distract Punk. Dax is able to get back in and hit the powerplex and a splash after that from Cash for 2. Cash tags Dax in. That's a mouthful to say. Cash tags Dax in, and Darby comes out of nowhere to take out Cash. Punk rolls Dax up for 2. Punk kicks Dax in the back of the head. Darby goes flying over the table to take out MJF. Both men in the ring fight from their knees. They fight up to a standing position and trade lefts and rights. Punk goes for the GTS on Dax, but Cash comes in and hits the big rig. They hit the big rig on Punk. Sting breaks up the count at 2. MJF tags in and hits a DDT to Sting, who no-sells it. The Sting no-sell. Sting throws MJF to the outside on top of FTR. MJF landed right on the back of his neck. Everybody in Gorilla was holding their breath when they saw the way MJF landed. Sting goes to the top rope and hits a crossbody, taking out all three men. Punk looks for a GTS on MJF, but Dax tags in, throws MJF out, and catches the GTS. So, Dax sacrificed himself so that MJF didn't have to take the GTS. So, once again, Tony Khan keeping MJF away from Punk. Sting hits a Scorpion Death Drop, and Darby follows it up with a Coffin Drop. Punk goes into the cover and gets the 3 count. So as they're celebrating in the ring, MJF runs up to commentary and begins to talk trash about Punk. And Punk, Sting, and Darby celebrate as the show goes off air. So we saw a fantastic main event last night on Holiday Bash. So Brandon, give me your thoughts on this whole trios match dynamic.
When I was over here moving and stuff, he didn't know what I was doing. I was just running the match back through my head and how fun it was. And it made me want to watch it again.
I'll be going back.
Yeah, I'll be going back for sure. This match was super fun. Love how they kept MJF away from CM Punk. I thought that little crowd chase was amazing. Yeah, altogether, this match is really good. The dynamic of Punk and Darby and Sting against MJF and the FTR, it worked really well together. This match was really fun and a great way to close out this show.
Yeah, I think this was the main event everybody expected it to be, and I think everybody proved themselves in this match. And like Brandon said, I like the whole keep MJF away from Punk dynamic because that's how it should be done. Don't give us away something that you can save. So they executed this main event well. Going into next week looks like a really good show. Then after that, the TBS premiere, Battle of the Belts, and then officially, I think after Battle of the Belts, we're going to start building towards Revolution. So we're in for a couple of very intriguing months coming up into late February, early March, and Revolution. So I think I'm very excited. We're all going to be here for the ride together, and I can't wait to see what Tony Khan and AEW has in store for us. But that's all we have for you guys for Holiday Bash. Very good show. Make sure to like and comment on the video. Answer the question of the day. Question of the day is, what are your thoughts on Kyle O'Reilly's debut? So leave that in the comments below, among other comments or questions you have. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell for all post notifications so you never miss when we upload a podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Fourth Wall Wrestling Podcast. It's right down there in that corner. And on Twitter at 4wall_wrestling, as well as our new TikTok page at Fourth Wall Wrestling Podcast. And stay tuned tomorrow. First, we have a big interview coming up tomorrow. It'll be posted. We're doing it tonight with another content creator. You may know him, you may not. We'll see. But expect that tomorrow. Nothing on Saturday. We're going to spend Christmas with our families. Y'all have a good Christmas as well. And we'll be back Sunday for the Breaking the Wall episode 3. And we're going to mix in a SmackDown and Rampage review in that episode. So expect all the news and rumors you need to know. The SmackDown and Rampage review. And the Day 1 predictions we have. So stay tuned for that as well. But that's all we have for you guys. So thank you for watching. For Brandon, I'm Will. This was your AEW Holiday Bash review right here on the Fourth Wall Wrestling Podcast. Peace.